Matt White was a man like any other. He put his groceries in his cart one apple at a time, just like the rest of us. One night while he was on his way back home after shopping at his local grocery store in Memphis, Tennessee, he encountered a boy who would change his life forever. The boy would offer him something, a humble offer, and from that moment on, these two people's lives would be intertwined. Keep watching to find out what happened next. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot. And here is: a teen offered to carry a man's groceries for food, and then his life changed forever. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. This is Matt White. At the time our story begins, Matt was a 30-year-old college graduate who studied the music business. Every week he would go to the grocery store to pick up food and general supplies. His grocery store of choice was a Kroger located in an upper-class part of the otherwise poor area of Memphis, Tennessee. In this particular day, Matt went to the grocery store, paid for his items as usual, and started walking toward the exit. As Matt was exiting the Kroger, a teenage boy started walking towards him. Matt noticed that the boy was alone and that he looked sort of sad and ashamed. The two strangers made eye contact and a whole bunch of scenarios rushed through Matt's head. He wondered if this kid was a beggar or if he just wanted to ask for directions. Then the boy opened his mouth and started to speak. The boy introduced himself as Chauncey Jones Black. He was a 16-year-old at the time, and he had traveled by the bus to the rich people's Kroger, hoping that he would find somebody who would let him work for food. Black was willing to work for a supper. He wasn't just asking for spare change. He needed to catch the last bus home in an hour, and he asked Matt for some sympathy. Chauncey Jones Black looked underweight. Matt later said that he looked ashamed, hungry, and broken. Chauncey told Matt that he would literally do anything for a bite to eat. He offered to carry Matt's groceries to the car for him in exchange for a box of donuts. Later, Matt said, "In my heart, I screamed aloud yes, but to him I just chuckled and said, 'Yeah, dude, we'll get you some donuts.'" Matt White felt terrible for Chauncey Jones Black. He couldn't believe that this kid was in such rough shape and that he was begging for a box of donuts. He wondered about his life and how he got to this point. Matt started asking Chauncey some questions. Chauncey said that he lived with his mother and that they didn't have very much money. All he had on him was a bus pass and the clothes on his back. Chauncey didn't know it yet, but he was in for a big surprise. Matt got Chauncey a pack of donuts, but he felt like that wasn't enough. There was a boy here asking for his help, and he didn't just want to send him away with a box of sugary treats. Matt knew it wasn't his responsibility to feed Chauncey, but he liked that Chauncey was willing to work for what he was asking for. White saw this moment as an opportunity to help a kid in need. Matt and Chauncey continued to talk as they walked around the grocery store. Matt led Chauncey down different aisles, loading up his cart with all kinds of household staples. Everything from cereal to snacks to produce, pasta, milk, toothpaste, and toothbrushes. Chauncey couldn't believe what was happening. He was thankful to Matt for helping him out in his time of need, and for doing it so casually, like it was no big deal at all. Matt was about to learn something about Chauncey that would completely shock him. While the two strangers turned friends were talking, Matt poked more into Chauncey's personal life. He asked him how school was and how his mother was doing. When Matt recounted the story, he said, "All the while we talked and he told me how he makes straight A's in school and is trying to get a job to help his mom pay rent. This kid was amazing." While Matt and Chauncey were speaking, Chauncey kept referring to himself as poor. White knew that Chauncey didn't have a lot of money, but he noticed that poor was part of Chauncey's identity. Chauncey told Matt that his goal was to become a rich entrepreneur. Once he makes a fortune, he wants to give back to other people in his neighborhood and buy them groceries like Matt was doing for him. Matt paid for Chauncey's groceries. Chauncey thanked Matt, and Chauncey thought that was going to be the end of their interaction. Chauncey had to catch the last bus back home to get to his mother before she started to worry about him. Matt decided that he couldn't watch this kid try to carry all those groceries home on a bus. Matt offered to drive Chauncey home. He was going to finish this thing that he started. What Matt saw next completely took him by surprise. Matt said, "I gave Chauncey Jones Black a ride home so that he didn't have to take the bus, and when we got to his house, I was truly humbled." Matt quickly realized that Chauncey wasn't exaggerating when he said that he didn't have any food at home. Matt continued, "They had 2 lamps and nothing in their fridge. Nothing." There was something else about Chauncey's house that particularly disturbed Matt. When Matt got to Chauncey's house, he met Chauncey's mother, Barbara. Matt noticed how kind and gracious Barbara was. She was genuinely thankful for what Matt did for Chauncey. Barbara also seemed to be fragile and in pain. Barbara had a condition that caused her to shake all the time. It made it difficult for her to get around on her own. Matt realized that there was more he could do to help this family. Before Matt could do anything else, he had to help Chauncey and Barbara unpack the groceries. Chauncey looked so happy to be home and to receive all the groceries. Matt said that he looked like a kid again. The Blacks' refrigerator was now full, and Matt said goodbye to Chauncey and Barbara. He gave each of them a hug and headed out. Chauncey didn't know it yet, but that wouldn't be the last time he saw Matt White. After Matt left Chauncey's house, he couldn't get the Black family out of his head. He started asking around about Chauncey and his mother, and what he learned really troubled them. Apparently, these two were barely getting by on Barbara's disability checks. Chauncey hadn't bought new clothes in years. Matt realized that the groceries would only last for a week or so, and he wanted to make a real lasting difference in the lives of these two people. Matt White lived a comfortable life. He had enough money to buy groceries and to afford his own place, but he didn't have enough money to really make a lasting impact on Chauncey's life all by himself. Matt decided to use social media to reach out to others who could also help Chauncey. He shared his story about his encounter with Chauncey on Facebook, hoping to inspire others the way Chauncey had inspired him. What happened next is going to completely restore your faith in humanity. Matt White hoped that all the attention his Facebook post was getting would turn into tangible donations for Chauncey and his mother. Matt attached a GoFundMe page to his Facebook post so that people could donate to Chauncey's cause. The page included information about Chauncey's size and clothing and shoes, but it also included a video interview with Black where he talks about his life story. Viewers quickly fell in love with Chauncey and how motivated he is. All of that love translated into financial contributions to the GoFundMe page. The GoFundMe account was quickly picking up traffic. Donations kept coming in, and Matt and Chauncey were getting very excited. They started coming up with a plan for what they were going to do with all the money. Matt wanted to raise enough money to get Chauncey a lawnmower so that he could earn some cash by cutting lawns in the summer. Then he could have some money when he started 10th grade in the fall. Matt's Facebook post kept picking up more traffic. It looked like the story was going viral. Total strangers started offering all kinds of things to Chauncey, including food, clothing, dental care, and even jobs. At this point, White's Facebook post was shared 14,000 times and commented on 3,500 times. White was starting to think that he should raise his goal on GoFundMe. Why stop at a lawnmower when he can get Chauncey a college education or even a new home? So we already know that the post got a lot of likes and shares, but exactly how much money did they raise? Well, eventually, $340,000 poured in for Chauncey and Barbara. Barbara was ecstatic. As a single mother who raised Chauncey on disability checks, this money was life-changing for her. Barbara said, "I did the best I could. These past few years, Chauncey has been taking care of me. He's a good boy. I couldn't ask for better." Matt turned the GoFundMe page into a whole movement that he called Chauncey's Chance. Pretty soon, all the major news networks were talking about the story. People started recognizing Chauncey on the street. Chauncey told People magazine, "It's so awesome. My life has been completely changed. I can't go anywhere now without people recognizing me. They go, 'Oh my God, you're Chauncey.' And I'm like, 'Yes, ma'am. I'm very happy and very grateful to everybody.'" $340,000 is a lot of money to receive all at once. Matt and Chauncey wanted to make sure that the Black family could make that money last. White said that he and the Black family were going to get in touch with a lawyer so that they'd take the least amount of hit on taxes. So it's set up in a trust and not at risk of anybody trying to come and claim it. Chauncey Black got the opportunity of a lifetime. Matt said that instead of praising him, people should look for Chauncey's out there. There are so many ways you can make a difference in someone's life. The focus of this is not me and what I did because I really didn't do anything. I just captured a story and put it online. But our community, Memphis, picked up this family and put them on a platform, White said. Even though Matt believes that everything that happened for Chauncey was because of God, Barbara and Chauncey know that Matt put his plan into action. "He's the nicest person I've ever met," Chauncey said. "Nobody ever cared more than he did. He's family. That's what he is." Barbara added, "He's in our lives forever now. He's family." Barbara and Chauncey are also grateful for everyone who donated their money and time for Chauncey's cause.